a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our face. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our face. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith.
Worked flawlessly.
Great.
Yes, we're live on Facebook. Welcome to RenéMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm RenéMarie. And we on this show, we always say we wing it. And that's what we do. We do all our pre-work to set everything up, to really do. But then when the show comes on, you got to just wing it, and do what you got to do. And today's a prime example. Ralph, who is supposed to be the co-host, was unable to join us. I trust Ralph with my heart and my soul. So something must have come up. He needs to take care of himself. I don't know why. But he does live 3 hours, away. So he was supposed to log on at 6 o'clock this morning. It's 7 o'clock, and he has family. So we're keeping you in our thoughts, Ralph. We don't know why, but we trust. And of course, you'll come on to be the co-host again. We love you. And he's doing extraordinary work for us with the Stroke Warrior Radio. We're streaming around the world. We are now, let me read this. Thank you to Ralph for inviting RenéMarie Stroke of Love podcasts and TVs to join us on our Stroke Warrior. We're thrilled to be part of the global streaming platform reaching over 28 countries, and I'm sure that it's more than that. We're deeply grateful for this opportunity. We always believe we're doing things together. We are lifting our voices and changing the face of stroke and aphasia locally and around the globe. And Ralph is such an extraordinary individual. He, like me, also has a full-time job that he does. And that's why I'm saying, I trust that he's just crazed. He's crazed. I do want to share with everybody that, we're in his newsletter as well that I put on a Facebook, and I shared it on everybody, that 9 years, he is celebrating on October 23rd from the stroke. Woohoo, woohoo! And Ralph is hopping. He is doing extraordinary work. We're going to have him on the show. We had him on the show a while ago. So we're so honored and privileged to have him as a co-host and a friend and just a partner. He's doing extraordinary work. So thank you so much to Ralph. And then Steve, who was supposed to be joining the second show, also got pulled away. Steve was on the first show. Katanya, Steve, and Barry, they were on the first show. What an extraordinary show we had, talking about breath, and how important it is for the breath and to talk and massage and just, it was an extraordinary show, and I can't wait to continue working with them. So thank you so much for joining us today. But we have a special guest who actually, when he's a part of the Senior Resource Group, which is Diane Bromberg. She's on our board, and she is just an extraordinary connector in life. We call her Miss Connector. And she said, oh, you got to meet Matt. Matt is such a great guy. You have to talk to Matt. You guys are the same type of person, so vibrant and alive. And So when we had Diane's, her summer festival, which she invites all her senior resource group to. I was performing, and then I came up, and Matt's like, "Oh, Renee, oh yeah, I got to talk to you." So we sat down, we spoke for like an hour, and everybody's like, "The world is revolving around us," and we don't even know because we're just like, "Da-da-da." And it turns out that Matt and I are both from Hawthorne. And we went to school, we were in the same groups when we were growing up. So, and his sister was, has a son by one of my best friends in high school's brother. So like the world is just so small. It's so small. So I love the way God works in our lives, and I can't wait for you to meet Matt. So Matt, how are you today?
I'm great, Renee. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, hello everybody. My first time on a podcast, actually, but not my first time talking, or certainly on a Zoom meeting. Yeah, and I would just like to chime in. Kindred spirits, when your eyes are open, right,
Yeah.
are all around. Diane, for sure. No coincidences. I believe in no coincidences. And I was trying to connect to Diane's group years ago. And I've been in the home care business for 5 years. But back then, she had an exclusive. There couldn't be. There's so many. There's a lot of home care agencies. There's too many, really. That she had a few, and she just couldn't accept me in. But although we hit it off. We actually hit it off at the Elmwood Park. I didn't get a chance to go yesterday, but they had an Elmwood Park. I think you were there.
Yeah,
Renee.
I performed. And I forgot to thank John again on this show because it was an extraordinary day out. It was held outside.
Beautiful day. Wow.
It was beautiful out.
Gorgeous.
I mean, I love to sing outside because you're just the sky is, that's the literal word. The
Gorgeous.
Sky is the limit.
Infinite potential.
Infinite potential. So woo! I was like, oh my God, so it was an extraordinary. So John, he's very, very special. And we're doing the Unconditional Love concert together, which we spoke about. It's just incredible. So anyway, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
And by the way, anyway, I'm glad you had a good time there. I will be, Renee and I have talked about this before. I just so everybody knows, I have a background in medical and healthcare all my life. I was a wannabe doctor. I started in pharma and went into biotech, but I've always wanted to be more of an artist and just let my soul out. And I do that today more and more. It's a quality of life thing for me. So like singing out loud, drumming.
Oh, we have to go karaoke too.
Right. So I promise you that at your concert, if we don't do it before that, Renee, I will be singing with you. Okay. Whether I can carry a tune or not, I don't care. I'm singing.
It doesn't matter. I'll tell you.
I'm letting it out.
I'm going to share something with you. I'll never forget this. This is like embedded in my mind. After 9/11, Father Gino, who is an extraordinary priest, he was always about welcoming children, and he was the priest at my children's grammar school, the priest at his DePaul High School. Anyway, so his door was always open. And this one time he got moved to Patterson by St. Joseph's Hospital. And it was right after 9/11. And this girl got up and sang that because she wanted to sing the national anthem. And she wasn't a singer. She just wanted to sing because she just had a passion to touch people. And she just felt it from her heart and her soul at that particular time. And the way Father Gino looked at her when she was singing just gave her the complete support that she could do it. She was extraordinary. And I say that because it's not about how you sound. It's about singing from your heart and just love to do it. So to me, it's really about just your person. That's how we speak through music. It's just, I love music. That's why I named my foundation Music Language of Love, because music is a language of love. So, yes. So I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay. Please do. Please do. Right.
Anyway, go ahead. Tell us.
All right. So yeah.
So I want to ask you something. I want to ask you
yes.
something.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
you said you were an artist. You had an artist passion, right?
I'd like to be more of. Yeah.
And
Go
what do
ahead.
you mean? What do you mean by that? Like what
Well,
did you
okay.
ever get into the arts, or what kind of arts? And are you?
So
That means you're creative, right?
when I was in my own right, I believe I am. Yeah. In what I do in business, in science, I have a passion for science and medical healthcare has always been a big interest of mine. But so when I was younger, I don't know, seventh, eighth grade in Hawthorne, um, I started learning the guitar. And I had this wonderful teacher. He was amazing, Norman. I remember his name. What a great soul he was. Big burly guy, looked like lumberjack kind of guy. But he helped me I got a Gibson 12-string guitar, beautiful sound out of this thing, right? And he was the kind of guy he was like a 60s love child. He could hear music on a radio and without even seeing the notes, just play it and finger pick it. And he was a natural, like he was just this free soul, I will call him, right? Like free spirit that was very attractive to me as a kid who was a little bit I was a little bit I don't know how you'd call it,
Shy.
I wasn't as liberated as I might have liked to be at that age, right? Like there was a lot of inside stuff that for whatever reason hadn't been brought out in me yet. And so I couldn't tune the guitar. It was a very hard guitar to tune. And by the way, if you're going to learn guitar, don't learn on a 12-string because there's 12 strings to tune instead of 6. Right?
Are you going to play the guitar too at my Unconditional Love concert?
Say that again.
Are you going to play the guitar too?
Well, I'm actually meaning to get back to. I actually had bought one, and I wanted to start to go back and do things and I'm doing that. Like that's in the category of like new life, infinite potential. Do things that I always wanted to do. Sing, play the drum that my therapist. Play your own drum, literally and figuratively. Right. Go back and do the things that I always felt that would have made me happier.
Right.
So I stopped practice. I stopped playing. It's not easy. It wasn't easy. Guitar's not easy. You got to practice. It's like anything else in life.
Right.
I was very demotivated by not being able to tune it each time before I practiced. And I let it go. And I look back and it was one of the things I regret in my life that I should have done thing. That would have been like, so I'm a pretty good guy mentally as far as linear, right? Straight ons, math, science, business. But balance in life is about everything, right? And art is beauty, and art gets you to express yourself without your head getting in the way. If anybody listening can identify with that, right? So the good news is I think a lot. The bad news sometimes is I think a lot and too much, and I really should be just doing more things. Right. Quality of life comes from the action, not so much thinking about what you want to do, but actually doing what you want to do. Right. Which I also think speaks to your group, your foundation, Renee. The recovery of people that have had, stroke. Or like, so I've been in medicine all my life. I've done hips, knees. I've seen all kinds of illness in a variety of categories. Now I see it in bulk in senior care. It's everywhere. Like there's heart, there's lung, there's stroke, that you name it. I've been around it at some level and or help therapy with it, right? In a good way. And all of those things, the one thing I can say is that, and as a salesman, that's been, that's pretty good at sales. And I'm a pretty honest salesman, if I do say so myself, in all humility. I would call myself, what I do currently is more of a care consultant. I'm not always selling. I'm trying to match the right service to the right need. Okay, so before we get into that, I want to give people a little glimpse into what is you're actually doing right now. What company are you working for? Sure. What are their purposes and the compromising nothing? Because that's why when you send me the information, compromising nothing was really an important title for the show.
because I really do believe that your company, Affirmed Healthcare, does not compromise anything. So
Thank
before
you.
we get into what it is you're doing and how you're selling it, and your practice in selling, talk a little bit about, so that they can tie it together. Talk a little bit
Sure.
about the company and how you got into it.
Okay, I will. And so just to finish the thought that I was trying to make, aside from the company stuff, was quality of life to me is all about action. It's not thinking about enjoying the day on the couch. It's more like, I think we can all identify with this, right?
Right,
It's more
right.
about what are we doing, not what are we saying or what are we saying we're going to do. We're thinking about what we're going to do. You're a lovely, a beautiful example of that, Renee. From what you do already, I could see that first event where you were singing. You're doing the things that is written on you. So that's a beautiful match. So
Yeah.
God bless you for that. So, okay. So to fill everybody in on my background,
Thank you for that anyway.
sure, you're welcome. My background is, as I said, I'm New Jersey all my life. I went to school in Hoboken. I was pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor. Didn't have the motivation at the end of 4 years in a tough school, and it was an engineering school. And I went into pharmaceutical sales, and then I went into from there I went to hips and knees. They call it medical device sales, implant sales, and they
Right.
call it, what I did was medical surgical sales. So I was in orthopedics, hips, knees, all kinds of body parts, and I
Wow.
actually sold body parts, bone and tissue, for
Wow.
bone bank that
Wow.
recovered real body parts from people after a death at night. I'd get calls in the morning with fresh bone, believe it or not, that would go back into the body in orthopedics and
Wow.
spine.
That's
Yeah.
impressive stuff. That's
Yes.
that's it. That's pretty important stuff too, that
It
people would
is.
know
It
that
is.
there isn't even a job like that.
Yes, it was very. When I got into the implant business, I felt like it was a nice leap for me because it made me feel like I was more. And the pharmaceutical was interesting. It was a great training, but at a point, I felt like a glorified commercial and caterer, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really using my intellect, like helping the surgeons getting more involved in the procedures.
Right.
The implant business got me involved in that, and certainly the bone and tissue bank. Very interesting
Right.
stuff,
Right.
right?
Wow.
Like helping people on the back end. We would work with recovering agencies that would recover the body parts. Not an easy thing to do, right? Your family member just died in an auto accident the night before, but people don't realize on our driver's license, you have donation cards.
Yes. Yes.
So just like organs, bone and tissue, believe it or not, is almost all body parts can be reused
Wow.
for the greater good, right? For people that are in need. But certainly that's a personal decision. But that did get me more involved in what I would call more of a consultative,
Mm.
and that was called medical surgical specialty, not just medical devices, but med surge.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
then started spending most of my career was in the operating room with some kind of device, whether it be an implant, or I was also in urology where we treated enlarged prostate in it, and I helped doctors do the procedure in the office
Right.
instead of having people go to the hospital.
Wow.
So I was involved a lot with very cutting edge new technologies, which really worked for my mind, if you will, my interest and passion in that arena.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
creative in itself, right? Because you have to be more of an envision. You have to be able to create to help them, right? Isn't that
Well, yes, it helps. It helps, right? I mean, so the product kind of dictates what the limits of what it can do. Although what I loved about medicine all my life and all of my careers in medical and healthcare sales was, even when I started in pharma, is a good example. They would come out with a new drug, um, the better ones, like Valium's a good example. I sold Ativan, which is a lot of people know what Ativan is. It's in the same category as Valium, right, or Xanax.
right?
Those drugs were designed to help anxiety and depression, but as they started to get used more and more, and because they had such a good safety profile, there were other things that associated with anxiety and depression that those medications could help with.
Wow.
So that's the nice thing about medical is it's
Yeah.
more of an, if it's an art, Renee, and
Yeah,
there are other things that something can be helped, you can help with. And then as the consultant, I loved talking to the doctors about like the cutting edge doctors that were like, Matt, this thing's really good for this. And by the way, you know what? As a side effect, I have another patient and this thing helped them with that.
Right.
Kind of like Rogaine came out. It was meant for high blood pressure, but it had a side effect of growing hair.
Yeah.
So then Rogaine became a hair treatment.
Yeah.
They didn't know that.
My granddaughter, she has seizures. She has a seizure condition. She's a special needs student, special needs. But she's on they're in the process of changing her medicine. I think it's a trial where it was a diet medicine.
Yes.
And now they're using it for seizures because they believe that it calms the brain, you know, whatever. I'm not medical at all. I don't know.
Yes.
I understand that, wow, this, they experience it in somebody else and like, well, maybe that can help this. So that's very interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a very fascinating arena. It's not rigid. It's an art. In other words, there's in a good way, there's flexibility to potential, like in a good way. You know what a good example is? Everybody's getting the new injections to lose weight. Ozempic. But believe it or not, those were not designed that way. It was really more for diabetes, somebody with more severe diabetes originally. But now they found the side effects of it are actually help people actually lose weight in a safe way. And it also helps with heart cholesterol levels and other things associated with getting sicker as you get older. A guy in my age at 61. So the doctor told me about it recently. I want to lose 20 pounds for years now, and I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to go back to the gym, and I'm going to eat better. And I'm going to try that first but I know a lot of people just like me, and the doctor said, you can try this thing once a month, and you can do the other stuff, and you might lose it a little quicker. I said, well, are there any side effects? He said, there are a few. So it wasn't that crazy. Really, but it is.
I know. I mean, my feeling on it is like if someone. This is my personal feeling, not my foundation feeling. My personal feeling is that if it helps someone who is overweight, because a lot of illnesses come from overweight, then it really is the right direction to go in.
Yes.
But I mean, I need to lose 30 or 40 pounds, you know, but I'm fearful of going on that because there's no really history to it yet. You know,
that's true, Renee.
They don't
know what point.
They don't know what's going to happen in 10 and 20 years.
That's very true
about that. And I plan on living another 50 years.
Good for you. So. And that's a good New Jersey skeptical. And I feel the same way. By the way, and I've learned over the years for a variety of reasons in the medical field and also in my personal life. I'm not only, you know, like a salesman, but I'm a customer too, so to speak, with a lot of this stuff, that if I can do it naturally, it's a much better way to go. It's a much better way to go. Yeah. So,
but we got to stress that, you know, overweight is, you know, one of the causes of a stroke as well. So you got to work with your doctors, you have to work with your health people to best and make a decision for yourself. That's
absolutely. And the high blood pressure and the heart condition are very much directly related. So to get back to my background, where I'm at now, Renee, is I'm in home care now for the past 5 years. Over the years, I became much more of a consultant, like I was telling you, which really works for me. I'm not that hard line, you know, sell your mom for 10% kind of sales guy. I'm much more of, I'm the scientist, problem solver first. And if the sale comes from that, you know, happening first, so be it. It's a better way to go, right? So I love. And
you like to look at the whole picture as to. You like to look at the person. You want to look at the family. You want to look at the history. You want to look at that and say, how can we help this person as a person?
That's right. As best we can, by the way, not just you know, like help them a little bit, because a lot of people can help a little bit, but how can I help in a better way? Right? Like, yeah. So so the company, I got into home care 5 years ago with another agency. This is my third agency in 6 years. Hopefully it'll be my last. The company's called Affirmed Home Care. They're based out of Rochelle Park in the North Jersey office. There's one they cover all of New Jersey. There's a second one in central New Jersey that covers central and South Jersey. And they were founded out of 3 nurses and a financial Wall Street guy started the company out of Manhattan. And so they're growing very fast, which is a credit to what they do, that they're doing something well. By the way, if nobody knows that, that would be a credit. They must be doing something right based on their growth rate. It just doesn't happen that way otherwise. They were founded by nurses. We do certified home health aides, hourly and live-in. That's one channel of service, private pay. And then we also do skilled nursing, RNs and LPNs on an hourly or shift basis, private pay as well. Everything we do has a nursing supervision flavor to it, as you might imagine. Going back to the origins of the company, where the nurses were the ones that started the company.
Wow.
Right. So
they know. They absolutely they know what it feels like.
Yes.
And they know what is needed.
Yes.
Without any without any question. They've walked in those footsteps.
Oh my Lord. Right.
Yep.
Right. If you want to get a real opinion on what's going on in healthcare in any given arena, ask the nurse. They are the workhorses. I always do this to nurses when I meet them. Before, I say hello, and then I say thank you for what you do. Because without the nurses in our health system, there'd be no health system. Renee. The doctors are great, and they are. There's a lot of good doctors, and they're not all great. But the ones that really make everything keep going.
They're the ones that are day to day.
And they're on the front line, right? They're always dealing. They're feet on the ground in the middle of everything. They deal with everything from soup to nuts, from helping somebody go to the bathroom to helping a doctor in a surgery. Right? Everything from low end to high end and everything in between. So
I would love to invite your 3 nurses to be on the show. That would be an incredible.
I might be able to help you with that. My manager, who happens to be very well rounded, she started as an LPN, she became an RN in New Jersey, and she's a very good businesswoman, Kathy. She runs the whole state, and I believe as this company grows, she's one away. She could be an owner, Renee, at this point. And she's got all that clinical.
That's what we want to hear. Yes.
That she would be a nice guest.
I mean, if you want to reach out to her and invite her, and if she's got the time, we'd love to, because
I could talk her into it for sure.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
The invitation.
All right. So did I help you with the background on the company?
And it's very informative to people, right? Because as we spoke, that the nurses are the ones on the front line, and they actually know, like I can only speak from my experience. I could tell you what I needed as a stroke survivor. And when doctors and nurses and whoever, physical therapists or insurance companies, when they're talking about what is needed from a stroke survivor, I could feed into that, because I've experienced it. I know that. So I think it's very honorable that they started this company, because they probably saw what was needed, what was missing in the industry. And they created something that was very unique and very special. So I would love to hear their thought process on that, or if you could get their thought process on that, as to what was the missing link, and what did they think was lacking in the fields? Because we said, there's a lot of, listen, there's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. There's so many sick people out in the world, which is
a lot of illness, Renee.
Yes. But so what were they thinking? Like, what did they think that, because when you're starting a business, like we know, you have to come up with a project plan, and it's got to be a suitable, and to get someone from Wall Street to tie into it, they must have had a wonderful operation thought out. So I'm very curious.
Yes, I would, and I would love to get them on it for another show, Renee,
Yeah.
with that. That's a great presentation. But I
Yeah.
think I can answer some of that for you now
Okay.
so if anybody listening has had a home health aide, either an hourly or a live-in, which I have dealt with a large amount of clients recovering from stroke outside of a rehab or a hospital setting in my 6 years in home care. And all agencies, by law in New Jersey, have to have, whether it's whatever the condition is you're treating. If a home health aide goes into a home or a facility, they can go into facilities as well, assisted living, and help there too. There has to be, at least in the home by law, there has to be a nursing supervisor over every new home health aide that goes into a home, somebody's home in New Jersey. So in other words, the aide can't just go in and say, this is my plan of care, I'm going to make up my own plan of care.
Right.
The nurse has to dictate. She does an assessment on the first day that she gets there. Now, I also do an assessment prior to that first day of care. I get a lot of good detail, which, with my background, it helps me to get a lot of good detail.
Right.
So that we can match the aide with the need and the personality of the need.
That's so important.
Which is and a lot of agencies will tell you they do that, but it's crap. They don't. They're filling an order is what they're doing.
Right.
Because they have a limited number of aides. Now, we happen to have a very large pool of aides, and we're growing, constantly looking for new aides. That's key, right? So if you're looking for a good agency, you want to ask a few of these questions. How many aides do you have? Do you have enough that can cover? Do you have a wide variety that, which would hedge my bet if I'm a stroke survivor and getting someone that has experience with stroke? You want an aide that has that direct experience.
Right.
And even if you can't get 100% of what you're looking for, the nursing supervision will make sure in all cases that aide is serving all of those needs for you, because she's going to lay out a plan of care when she gets there that first day, and the aide has to follow that plan of care in order to get paid each week. So what I also want to finish with is, not only do you get one nursing supervisor by law from our agency, this is different than the other two I've worked for. Our agency, there's actually 2 nursing managers for every new case. You get the nurse that does the assessment. She's more of the direct nurse, and then there's her supervisor, who they call the nurse case manager. So you've got 2 nurses watching every new case, and you have me as a quarterback. So that's a lot of free value add service. Right.
But that's probably the connection. That's probably the missing link, because
ideally, Renee. Yes.
Yeah.
Let me say, in this business, I've learned to be 100% truthful. And if anybody's listening that's experienced this, any good agency, like certainly myself, it would be great if everybody did exactly what I wanted them to do in life, right? What we're dealing with a service, a people service, versus the pacemakers I used to sell. And I say this to the family that calls me, that's considering going with an agency, with mom or dad that's coming out of difficulty down the road. And I'll say, I will give you my assurance that we're going to do our very best to match the need with the caregiver and the experience. Sometimes it's their people, and so how should I say this? It's not always 100%. Sometimes the aide's in a bad mood, that they call in sick a little more often than you might want them to, or in rare case I've had it where we couldn't find the right fit, but we came close, and then we would reach out to the family and say, are you okay with this? We think she'd be good with the nursing supervision, but if it doesn't work out, we'll help you. We'll get another one quickly. And if we can't, we'll help you find another agency. So I just want your viewers to understand that I don't think a lot of salespeople would say this to you. I do, because whether you've had experience with aides or not, they're not pacemakers. They're people. Right. So humans are a little fallible, right? So if any good agency can get 90% of the way there with a consistency of care, That's a good job.
And, and my thought on that is, like I said, there's plenty of illnesses and people to go around, and there's plenty of wonderful businesses in the world and healthcares, and it really is about the connection. You know what I'm saying? So you make
Amen.
with the person that's in your position. You're the first line of defense for, you're the first promotion for the company.
Right.
When you walk in, it really matters how you're gonna approach them, and you got to be, like you are, compassionate, understanding, caring. You got to think about it. I know Diane has wonderful, group of individuals that she works
Yes,
with,
she does.
and everybody is just an incredible support team. They're like, that's why you're a part of it, is because people come first, and like you said,
Yes.
and whatever we can do for that person. So for you to say that, if you can't accomplish it, then you're going to resource it out. You're going to find somebody,
Yes.
because the money always follows the goodness, and the
That's
money
right.
always follows where it should come from.
Yes, it should.
It
Renee.
should.
Yeah.
And I believe that sometimes when you do a good deed like that, you'll get 10 other clients, because
I've seen it actually happen, Renee.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The word of mouth
yeah,
in this business is big.
yeah,
You don't, like, if anybody listening has noticed, I struggle with this as more of a corporate salesman for some of the larger companies that I've worked for in devices. You don't see a lot of commercials about this. And the reason is, even though it's there everywhere, it's kind of funny the way it happens. But they call it a very niche service, right? You don't really want to think about it until you actually need it.
yeah.
Right.
You really
It's
should think
human
about it before
nature.
you need it.
You should. Right. Right. So all of us, right? Like, so even end of life is a good example too. Right. Nobody really, it's human nature. I get it. I'm in the business and I still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Yep. Kim
but
does the
it's
end of
better
life.
that you talk about it up front so that you're not panicked when the trauma happens.
Yeah.
And for all of us at some level.
Hard talks.
Hard conversations, but with love, with the language of love, to your wonderful marketing of your organization, Renee. And as you know personally, you learn, at least you had the chance of like living from your event, and then learning, and then being able to help others to say, boy, what my eyes have been opened to, like the value of life, period, right? And why wouldn't I want to know what's out there as far as resources for quality of life at any point in my life? Right. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I just, I was blessed to have my father in my life, because I don't know if I said this on this show. I think it was the last show, that we're starting. We have 3 mission statements on my foundation. One is to bring stroke and aphasia awareness. Number 2 is to do its annual telethon, and number 3 is to help those that their insurances run out. That's our 3 missions. We've really, over the last 10 years, I have established the first 2 fully, because it was in my brain. Nobody was going to understand what I was talking about. Now I have this platform. Now I have a whole file of shows, a whole bunch of communications, a whole bunch of awareness. My 10th annual telethon is coming up in November. And then we really want to focus. We really want to focus on helping those that their insurance has run out, because
Wonderful.
the world is crazy. We've done it. We've done like 250 here, 500 there, because we haven't had the financial aid to do it. But the reason for that, I was saying before on my last show, was because my father, when I had my stroke, took every single bill I had, because he did not want me or my husband at the time to focus on that. He wanted me to be healthy, happy, safe. That was so. And I remember, Matt, him sitting at the foot of my bed when I had my stroke. And I remember he was with his girlfriend, and I remember his face. I remember his face, like, because his mother, Nana, lost 3 children at young ages. They were in their teens. No, 2 were in their teens, and 1 was a police officer in Florida. So he didn't want to have to go through. And I just remember that. So, those memories, I think they're pinpoint moments in my life that really drive me, and really drive me to do things with love. When someone is talking about something nasty or something that just is not loving, like we can have conversations about loving things, about disagreements. We could talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if I'm not going to do it in a loving fashion, then
Yeah.
I just don't have time for that. I don't have time
I'm
for
with you.
that because
Yeah.
our lives are short.
Yeah.
They can end in 1 split second, which
Yeah.
I'm living proof of, that, you can go and you can,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. I got this, I had this other thing going on in my life, that the dear friend was going through something, and someone associated to it passed away. And I'm thinking, so why did they argue? Like why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Like, that's my question. Like, I
Waste
have
of
nothing
time.
else to say, but why?
Yeah. Right.
You wasted all your life
You're
on
right. You are
this?
right on, Renee.
I
You're
just,
right on the money.
Matt,
Yeah.
it fuels me. It fuels me to just
Yeah.
go, okay, and I'm
Yeah.
all about like leaving that visually. I'm all about leaving that person there talking, not to disrespect them, but going around them and just
Yes,
what I
you
gotta
can
do.
do that without this. You can. There is a way to do that, Renee. It's
Yeah.
funny you say that because I used to actually buy into that toxicity and in a
Toxicity
weird
is a good
way,
word.
not really help because I was engaging it and overreacting to it. And then I'd let it push my buttons, right? And that's not the way to do it. I can still love you. And we all know this. We see this. There's dysfunction. I dealt with a family member today, and I text you my grandniece. We got my pit bull fixed, and I put out a very happy text to my family. There was a group text. Luna's doing great. Blah, blah. It was all very positive, right?
Yeah.
So somebody in my family, I won't mention names, comes back with kind of a negative, and I don't even think they knew they were doing it.
Right.
And my niece texted me offline, and she's like, why is Auntie, so negative? And when I'm like, you know what, you just don't engage. And you're right, she is, and that was negative. And you can move away from that. You can still love them.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. You have free will.
Yeah.
Right. We all can make better choices.
Yeah.
And I love you and I get to do this in the business that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really a gift. And I remind myself that sometimes when I'm having a hard day, right? We all have hard days. And what helps me to keep going is, you know what? No matter what's going on in the healthcare around me, as difficult as it might be, God has given me an opportunity to at least be involved here.
Yeah.
I
have a second chance.
Yeah.
I could have, it could have been, I couldn't be here at the age of 26.
You are a perfect example of, if you were doing what I was doing, what you'd be able to share with people, Renee. And that's what I try to do is to like, listen, I don't want you to have a relationship with my device, really. It's the relationship is with the people that are involved.
Yeah.
That's where the connection, like you were saying, it's all about a human connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't even help physically or cognitively. It's that severe, but I can even help those people, believe it or not, spiritually.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to get into that. Hold on. I wanted to lead into that. Let's talk about, let's turn the page a little bit backwards and talk about your recovery. I want you to share your recovery. And the struggles and how it made you have faith and how it helped you have faith and how it helped you to be the person you are today, because we all have to go through, sometimes we have to go through something to get to where we are. So I'm going to allow you the platform.
Okay. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for this. So your listeners.
And I want to, before you begin talking, I want to tell you it's 11 o'clock already.
The time is.
And we didn't even think we'd have time to talk about it.
Where's it gone? Okay, thank you, Renee. You're right. And you know, it always, whenever it goes that fast, I know I had a great conversation
I know.
because it
Go
was
ahead.
just fun. Yeah. So thank you, really. Um, so you know, for the viewers or listeners, so I am actually a recovering alcoholic addict in recovery the past 30 years. I actually have I've relapsed a couple times, but I have my last 8 years is linear. And thank you. Just celebrated in August, and it's my home group is in Ridgewood. It's been the best 8 years of my life, I hands down. Um, Not without struggles, right? Like life is life. Life is what it is. There's mortgage payment there. I didn't grow up with the trust fund. I blew you know some of my midlife years. But what I want to say about all of that is, and I do bring it into, I'm not afraid to say it out loud, without boring people with the detail, into my career. It helps a lot, and into my personal life, of course. So you can't just do in AA and recovery. I learned the hard way that you can't just be around. You can't just say that you're doing it. You have to be in it. That's why I say it's all about action. They taught me that, like in a life-threatening way. If I didn't start acting into this, like not just patronizing it and giving it lip service, but doing these principles that are taught through the 12 steps of recovery, which are all beauty principles, by the way: love, trust, honesty, support. They're all there. It's all on the good side of what you're talking about, Renee, which is why I've learned to live in the solution, not the problem. That's why what you say makes so much sense to me. When I see toxicity, it's a shame because they're very loving human people. They just can't get out of their own way. They can't see it.
Yeah.
And they're a bit blinded to the problem. Is you're living in the solution. You're helping fail because you keep bringing up the failure. You should turn your view to the positive, what you can do positively. Right.
But we do have to stress, and we said this before, is
Yes.
you gotta honor who they are, and you have
yes, always honor the human.
right,
Yes.
right, and you have to love them anyway, which
Yes.
is before, because
Yes.
we can't say that we're all about love, we're all about being good,
And not do that.
and not do that, and
That's
not do
right.
that.
That would make me a hypocrite, Renee.
Right. Me too.
Right.
Me too.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
I have conversations with people all the time, and they say, I would just, because when people are mean to me, and they're like, I would do this. And I'm like, no, it's not my authenticity. I have to honor who I created the foundation to be, and I have to accept them, and I have to love them. A little example is, not that I would say it, not that I think anything bad about Ralph or anything like that, but he probably had stuff going on today. He probably couldn't come.
He's human.
Right. And I trust that I know Ralph well enough to know that he is a great person. Like, because he couldn't come on the show today, I don't have one single. I'm like, okay, like let's
as it should be, Renee. But you're right. A lot of people would get a resentment over that, right? Like, and you know what? That one thing they teach in the program, there's just so many wonderful tools that not only apply to saving my life with alcoholism and addiction. By the way, all of the tools that they taught me on how to do that are wonderfully applied to everything else in my life.
Yeah.
And so what I say in recovery, and I say this when I speak at meetings and to newcomers, AA saved my life, but it then helped give me a quality of life.
Right, Ralph, Matt.
Yes.
But the alcohol and the drugs were an outlet for another problem.
They were just a symptom.
Yes, of what was happening in life. So you had to learn how to handle your life through AA to be able to recover fully. You can't recover just from the alcohol and the drugs.
You can stop it if you don't. Absolutely right, Renee. If you don't address the root causes, you will go back again.
Right.
That's the tragedy of that illness. It's a nasty illness, by the way. Most people downplay it, but it's very nasty. It's life-threatening, and it's progressive.
And many people in the
Oh
world
my God.
are,
It's been around since man was in the caves.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's still not. There's a stigma, and there shouldn't be, right? Like other things, like depression and mental illness. It's gotten better. It's gotten better over the years, I have to say. But what I would like to say to answer your original, how does that help me with the spirituality? Today I don't have to worry about, I don't generally think about the drinking or the drugging anymore. That used to be there. And boy, in those first couple of years are really hard for anybody starting into that. And I'm always there to help wherever I can in humility, really, without judging the person and knowing that by the way, all the people I've ever met in the program are the most wonderfully big-hearted. It's tragic.
yeah,
And maybe for that reason they're overly sensitive, and then life hits them harder and they can't handle it as maybe some people with thicker skin can.
right.
And then tragically they go to get stress relief, and then it becomes an addiction, and then you're stuck. Then you can't go back, right? But what I want to say is, by practicing this lifestyle, you got to practice it like anything else. You want to be a good tennis player, you got to practice, right?
Yeah.
There's no way around that, by the way. But it is the easier, softer way I found. And over time, I'm never not going to be, I'm always going to be an alcoholic addict. It's always in my belly, so to speak.
And I'm always going to be a stroke survivor.
You're always going to be there. That's never going to change, right? So, but by the way, there's a gift in those tragedies. The gift is it has given you passion and compassion, and your eyes have been open to some greater things. In a weird way, I believe the spirit of the universe works wonderfully that way. If you're open to it, you got to be open to it. If you're not, if you keep fighting it, you're screwed, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I believe that if you're not going to understand your lessons from what's happened in you, God's going to come in a different way and give you another.
You're going to have to learn, right?
You're going to have to learn what it is. So that's why.
That's right.
It took me
sooner or later, Renee. Yeah. You might as well do it sooner, right?
Yeah.
Because it isn't going to go away.
No,
right?
It doesn't go away.
So that's what I call spiritual progress. And one of the mottos of the program is spiritual progress, not perfection. You don't have to do it perfect. You won't do it perfect because you're not human and you're not God. We're all human. But if you are moving 2 steps forward, 1 step back, you're still making 1 step forward and progressing in your life. For me, I'll end on this. My job description today is number one, I can never pick up. I can't ever forget that. That's got to be done perfectly, right? Like if I pick up on all bets are off. Any mood altering, okay. But the secondary, that when I'm working a good program, I don't have to really think about that one all too much. But what I do have to work on each day is my spirituality. So my job description, if I can keep my motto is, if I can keep my spiritual meter from 0 to 100%, somewhere between 50 and 100, if I'm at around 70%, I'm doing really good. So if my spirit will quarterback everything, I have a crazy mind, I can overthink, I can get obsessed over my sales numbers. I can get obsessed over, God forbid, talking on your show. I'm not, luckily that comes easy to me. But we all can obsess over crap. And my good spirit will help me balance that out. And when my spirit is high, and I try to relay that in my job, when I say to people, tell me about your mom's physical condition, tell me about her cognitive, and tell me what she likes to do. Or what she used to like to do. We will try to help in each category. And sometimes with really severe, I have severe memory care clients, very severe. It's tragic. Very severe stroke survivors. It's sad to see, but even if they might be able not to speak to me the way they would like in your category. I know that their mind is still there when I make a joke and I connect with them and I see a bit of a smile or a reaction, that is the spirit and the soul is still there, which I believe it always is. If I can help better that in any small way, and my caregiver can help do that, or my nurses and my team, I can go to bed and rest my head on the pillow at night. I've done something.
And you know what, even if, and this is what I was thinking before, I don't know why it came to my mind, but you've learned yeah, when you said we're all human, you know,
Yeah.
and we all make mistakes. We all
Yeah.
make mistakes. And Dominic Cortellessa, who's a confidant of mine, who really guided me and helped me to figure out how to navigate, because I was very artistic and airy, you know, like, you know, and just but he said, listen, if you want to run a foundation, if
Yeah.
you want to be taken respectfully, you have to put your feet on the ground too.
Yes.
You have to learn to walk, and you need to learn to put your feet on the ground and be, you know. So he helped me to balance.
Yeah, so you had a little bit of the opposite of me. You
Yeah.
needed the business balance,
Yes.
but in the
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the good news is, oh my God. So again, we're on the same page, Renee.
Yeah.
If you can get a little of both,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more well-rounded we are,
Yeah.
and we have all of this potential. All human beings have the ability in each category.
Yeah.
So why get stuck in just one category, right?
Not me. Not me.
Right. Yeah.
That's like, you know, people ask me, well, what kind of singing artist are you? I said, I do all genres.
Whatever I like. Good for you.
Whatever the
Good answer.
audience is geared to. And
Right.
at my concert, I like everything. I like, you know, Barbara Streisand. I like Pat Benatar. I like oldies. I like country. I like
Mhm.
Helen Reddy. I like Anne Murray. I'm planning on doing an opera from my mother. You know, that tells my story when I'm performing it, and
Yes.
it keeps people interested in what you're doing. Like, wow, she can do that, and she could do that, and wow, you're like
Yes.
and really tell my story through. I'm just so
You're
excited.
leading by
Yeah,
example too there, Renee, whether you know it or not.
wow,
There's no better,
yeah,
honestly, that's good karma. I say that to I love my manager currently, Kathy, because she's not just a manager. I've had a lot in my day.
yeah,
She's a salesperson.
yeah,
She has, so she'll never ask me to do anything she hasn't already done
right,
and
right,
isn't realistic.
yeah,
So she gets it. She's a player coach.
yeah, yeah,
You're a player. You are a player coach, Renee,
yeah.
whether
Thank
you
you.
know it or not.
Thank,
And that's a great thing to be.
but I've had wonderful examples in my life. You know,
Mm.
going back to when I was playing softball, Pat Talaferro, Barbara Stewart, and Karen Meyer. They were really the beginning of teaching me how to play the game and play it fairly and play it. They were examples to me. And then when I worked for Pumptonian Food Service, who I just reconnected with this manager, this leader, this, you know, this manager of mine, Carmela Garofano. So I can't even tell you what a blessing she was in my life to teach me leadership skills. There was another guy called I'm drawing a blank on his name, but then Dominic Cortellessa, when I was at Wanakee Reserve for 10 years, was the board president, and he really taught me leadership skills. He taught me how to. I can't tell you. I have been so blessed in my life with these examples that have been teaching me. You know, now, you know, I work for another company, but you know, and I've gathered each piece of
You've
information.
grown from each,
Yes.
and they become additive,
Yes,
right?
yes,
It's
yes.
almost like like 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah, yeah. But they all knew me, Matt. They all saw something in me, which I was blessed to have them see me for who I was.
Yes, that is a
And
blessing.
give me the guidelines of how to operate, but allow me to fly. And they,
In your way
yeah, in my
of
way,
doing it,
in
in
my
your
way,
own way.
in my way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Those are beautiful people.
yeah,
Those
they
are
are.
what we all need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what you found in your manager now.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm blessed no matter what happens with my sales numbers, which I always have to answer to. I even for the I try to live in the day as best I can and not overthink what's going to happen in the future. My expression is I row the boat
Yeah,
every day as best I can, and I let my higher power, which is God or the goodness, whatever label you want to use, the universe steer for me. I
yeah,
leave the results up to, but I feel like I'm a better match. This company is the best match for me that I've had in actually, there was only one other time in my whole career. It's been, you know, many years in the med device company where I had a similar, it's a gift. In other words, they have trust in my ability. They trust that they hired the right guy. They like who I am. They don't micromanage me.
Right.
Now,
right,
again, I'm
right,
still held accountable. Like that's
right.
the nature of my
Well,
job.
Dom used to hold us accountable. What are you gonna, and he was one to, like you, like, how are you gonna fix it?
Yeah.
This happens. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do to fix it?
Yeah. But at least he asked you, right?
Yeah,
Like some
yeah.
people will throw that down your throat. Well, you know
No,
what? I don't like the
no,
way you're doing this, so you're gonna have to do it my way. I don't like that. I
no.
like, you know what? Maybe try it my way. If it's not working, a good manager will say, well, what are you doing? Okay.
Yeah,
Why do you think it's not working? Okay.
yeah.
How about we
Work it through with
brainstorm?
you.
Let's
Work it through
brainstorm.
with you.
Right. Together.
Yeah, together. And that's
Together.
leadership.
That's leadership. That's
That's
good leadership. And that's what I have today.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a pleasure. Like these mentors you're talking about, Renee.
Yeah.
When you run into these people, it's you count your blessings.
Yeah, I've been very blessed in my life, and so have you. And I can't believe it's been an hour we've been talking about it. So I want you to circle back and talk a little bit about the company you're working for, the difference they can make. Talk about the compromising nothing, and we'll close on that. And then, of course, we're gonna many more shows you'll be on. We're gonna
Thank you.
really gonna
would love to come back, Renee.
Yes, yes.
I'm having a blast already.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, with Diane and we're always going to be connected. So.
Yes, and maybe we can get like more of a roundtable,
Yeah.
like different options for people in our arena. That's sure. All right. Thank you for the opportunity. So what I'll say in ending is about all of that. And thank you for how you posted me on your marketing piece. Their motto is compromise nothing. And they actually follow that. Like a lot of companies that I've been with, I'm in what they call sales, marketing, and business development in medical healthcare for almost 40 years now. And I've seen it every which way to Sunday. And it's very easy to put something down in writing and market it. It's a whole nother thing to actually try to live up to that statement. We all see it. There's like, in this country, if you've been around long enough and you've watched enough TV or you've swiped your phone enough, everything's about an advertisement, right? It's a blurb. It's a 2-minute on the news things. Like it's all about the band, like the 2-second headline. Those are fine if they match, in my opinion, if they match reality at some decent level. Yeah. Again, I try to, like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I try not to hold everybody to that standard because then I end up disappointed and I don't want to do that. Right. So I'm getting better at loosening down.
I'm just smiling at you because I'm the same way.
All right.
I'm harder on myself and I am a perfectionist in my world, but I never expect that from other people. You got
to be careful. I do it without meaning to sometimes. And then Pete, like my husband, will keep me honest and say, he'll get upset. And I realize, you were right. I was a little too, like, I might do it that way, but that doesn't mean you have to do it that way. Right. Yeah. That's spiritual growth.
But I've learned from Dominic Cordelessa, if you find that you've made a mistake, you have one option. You can always go back and have a conversation with them and apologize and correct.
Well, it's funny you say that, Renee, because I practiced that one of the 12-step principles in recovery in living a good life. And then once you've been through the 12, you then live the 12. You incorporate all of them. Step 10 is to continue to take daily inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
Yeah.
So that's key for me. I have to right away, because otherwise it festers in me.
Yeah.
And then I get upset at myself.
Yeah.
And if I don't make that apology right away, if it's something I did, I can't, that I have control over. I don't have a lot of control over what you guys do, but I can control what I do.
Yeah.
And if I did make a mistake, I need to correct it right away. I can't wait on that.
Yeah. You apologize. Yeah. I mean, that's,
at least I can do that. Right.
I'm the same way, because I used to call Dom and I used to be like, Dom, I can't, he says, well, what are you going to do about it, Renee? You're going to sit here and talk to me about it? Or are you going to go fix it?
That's not living in a solution, Renee. Right.
So I mean, okay,
it's going to do this. It's going to spin around in your head.
Yeah.
And it might shade other things, which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So don't make it any worse. Get rid of it. Ground yourself and move on.
And
right?
all you could do is apologize, whether they accept it or not.
That's absolutely right.
That's not
That's
that.
not on you, Renee.
That's not on you, because
Right.
you did whatever you needed to do
Right.
to clear your path.
Right.
And now it's on them to whatever they want to do with it. And if they don't accept it, say, I'm really sorry you don't. I'm just speaking from my heart, and I really feel bad.
That's right. And by the way, if people are funny, like even the hardest ones I've found, even the most what I call hardliners that have a thick skin and or just can't see their own way of getting out of their own way, that when you do that kind of thing from the heart, that's the key. When you do it authentically, like so here's an example. What the difference is: if I scream at my, not that I do this, but if I scream at my husband every time we get in an argument and raise my voice, and I do it repeatedly, and every time I do it, the next day I say, I'm sorry, I got upset, but I keep doing it, that the next time I say I'm sorry, it means nothing to him, because that's not, if I was authentically sorry, I would have stopped, I would have not only apologized, but I would have stopped the action as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or at least tried to better the action.
Matt, you know what cracks me up?
Yes.
When people throw out that, oh, love you, oh, love you, oh, love you, and then treat you like garbage. I'm like,
it's very, it can be very superficial.
I'm like, how could you,
like, how could you say that?
How could you say you love me on one hand and then not love me
and then run me over on the street like 2 minutes later? Right.
I don't get it. We have to have a whole conversation.
Okay. We could do a whole show on that. Absolutely.
We have to do a show on love. Like, what is true love?
Absolutely, we could, Renee. I have all kinds of people I could invite in from my AA
We're going to do that.
Honestly.
We're going to do that.
We could do that.
Yeah. It's the second show we have to schedule together.
Second one. All right. Do I have a couple minutes? I'll finish with Affirmed.
Yep, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. So they really do try to live up to compromise nothing. And that means everything that I just share with everybody is I give my best on an intake. Some people have even said to me, Matt, I've just talked to 3 different agencies in the past 4 hours. Mom's getting discharged on Friday. Thank you very, like, they don't always commit to me for the sale, but that's okay. That's human nature, right? They have to decide on their own terms, not my time, their time, right? But they'll say to me often, boy, you know what, Matt, at the very least, you gave me the most information and the most time. And some people would say to me, well, it's too much, Matt, you're too wordy. No, I'm detailed. I believe that's important, right? And I don't believe I waste anybody's time with that. And I know that to be true. My agency works the same way. The caregiver staff that we hire, I trust. I don't do the hiring, but we lead them in the direction when we see what we call service failures. They happen. We are constantly trying to better those things that will happen at some level. And especially as we get bigger, there is no perfection in life. If there were, we'd all be in heaven, right? But I can tell everybody listening this is a 3rd agency, and they've all been very good agencies. This agency lives what they speak. Yep. They put their money where their mouth is. We all try our very best to do what you were saying earlier, Renee, serve the client as best, if not better than the other guys can in a very competitive arena. Yeah. Right. This is not inexpensive stuff. It's private pay. It's out of pocket. Unless you have a long-term care insurance policy. And if you're lucky enough to have one of those, that's great. That will help after a waiting period. That'll help pay for our daily rates, whether it be an hourly living or the skilled nursing. What else? We do all of that nursing supervision. So we've got multiple people any of my clients directly are going to get my quarterbacking. So I don't want to start trouble with my own internal people. But if my client is getting disadvantaged in any way, I have no problem fighting for my client. If I have to pick between the client and the management, I'm going with the client every time. You can fire me, I don't care. I'm old, I'll get another job. I'm confident in my abilities.
But you have to, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I know you know this, but I just want to I want to share with everybody. Like, that's if the client is not being unreasonable. Right, because sometimes
that's if the client's not being unreasonable. Right, because sometimes it's on the client side or the family side, Renee. Yes. And you know what? I'm a big thing about fair is fair, and I tell everybody up front in the intake, initially, and I could see it coming. If somebody says I have family members, and right away 6 flags are going up, they'll tell me, "Oh, how many caregivers has mom had in the past?" 7. Right away, I'm like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble. This is a hard one." They're never happy.
And they want they want reasonable things. They want you to.
That's right.
They want you to recover, and you just can't.
I can't. Right. They want me. They. A lot of people. You're absolutely right. I've run into these people. That I jokingly say to them, Jesus Christ could come down and wave a wand, and you'd still be unhappy with him too. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and I try tactfully. I try to still love in that situation. Yeah. But if I see it, and this is what they're going to get. People are going to get from us too. And my whole team does this is pretty well. If we see a problem coming, which speaks to more nursing supervision is better. But if we see it coming, I'm not afraid to talk about those hard things up front. So when I get into 20 minutes into a conversation and I ask how mom's personality is, how is she with others? I ask some very good questions. And sometimes I don't always get an honest answer, but I'll get a pause. And that pause tells me, it kind of gives me the answer I'm looking for. Right. They're not going to give me the full answer. And I can't blame them because it's human nature and sometimes just embarrassed. But if I can get an understanding that mom or dad, and by the way, I understand this. If you're this is not easy stuff. I could be the nicest guy in all my life, and then I have a stroke. I'm not going to be a very happy person for the right reason, right? And if I'm 85 years old and I have all these illnesses and I can't move around and I can't, oh my God, these are not easy things. But it's not the person that's suffering. It's the family around them that needs to be realistic and supporting them. That's right. The expectations for everybody in this equation. So so I'm not only looking out for my client, but thank you for bringing that up, Renee. I'm also looking out for the benefit of my caregivers. Yes. So I don't want them to get abused. Because I say to people, God love them for what they do. When I meet a caregiver live, I hug them and I thank them for what they do because I can sell it. I'm not sure I could do it every day. Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to make sure that everybody that, because you're fair. So I wanted to make sure. Thank you. That is, thank you for bringing that out, Renee. Yeah. And I let everybody, I'm a very honest. Yeah. I'll put it this way to people. I've been out with managers all my life, they ride with you in sales. It's just the nature of what they do. Mm. Often years ago, I used to get discredited by managers that thought that I was giving too much information away to the client, and or I mentioned the negative. But what I learned to be confident of is now some of that may be true, but as I've gotten older, it's actually, I see it as a plus, right? So in other words, they're like, Matt, I say to them, so you think I'm too honest of a salesperson, right? Because, so I'm like, well, it works for me. And by the way, wouldn't you want to buy from the more honest guy that might share with you some of the negatives before the competition does, right? Yeah. I think it just makes me more real. Yeah. And it's in the I have a big thing about, is it fair? Yeah. One of my mottos in life is if it's not fair, let's look at that. Am I being unreasonable? No. I'm right. It's not fair. Can we do anything about it? Yes. If there is something, let's work together to be more fair with each other. Yeah. I agree. In whatever that is, business, social, marriage, work, right? Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you're hitting the nail on the head. And what I wanted to share before, but I didn't want to interrupt you was, I was going to take a Jack Canfield class, a session online, or I think it was video. I forget. And another leader. I won't say who it is because I don't have good memories of the relationship. But I was going to say was, I was talking to each salesperson for the packages for the Jack Canfield or this other one. Yes. And Jack Canfield, he just kept answering questions, working through things with me, being very respectful, always just keeping the door open the way you do.
Just,
Yes.
just information. Okay.
No not hard selling you, Renee.
No, no.
Right?
This
Yeah.
other one was like, well, you're going to make a decision or not. And you got to make it by this time. And I'm like, all right.
No.
I'm like, you know, that leader could have been better than Jack Canfield or as good as, but
Right.
I was not going with that one.
No, that's not acting the part, right?
And
Like,
I eventually went with the Jack Canfield and just loved his classes and loved the people. His name was Wade,
Yes.
the class, and he was just incredible. It was just an
Yes.
incredible experience for me. So,
and when you run in, it's nice that you can see that and appreciate that, Renee. When you run into somebody like that, we all deal with salespeople in the capitalist society we live in. You can't get away from it. Honestly, that is, I love to hear those stories because, listen, if I could have go back and been a doctor, I would now. You know, like it's easy to be the arm, look back and say, oh, I should have done that.
Yeah.
But salespeople sometimes get a bad rap, and I understand why. There's just a lot of salespeople out there that are pushy and aggressive, and I try to tell people up front when I'm talking to them, by the way, if you miss anything on the conversation, I'm going to send you an email.
Yeah.
You don't have to make a decision today. If you can, if you want, you can.
Yeah.
All of, you know, I'd be very happy to have your business, but I'm never going to force you. I learned this with the surgeons, Renee. I dealt with a lot of for years with the implants, high-end surgeons, not just surgeons, but high-end, because I had like those numbers, those quotas were aggressive with some of the big companies.
Right.
The best way to sell a surgeon who's a very smart guy, generally, or woman, is not to make you believe in what I believe, but I need you to like buy into what I'm saying, and ideally, you sell yourself.
Yep.
And if you don't, it's not a match. It's okay.
Yeah.
But if what I'm saying is true, and I get you to like make your own decision, that's a better customer for me, Renee.
Yeah. And the truth is that because they don't choose you first, doesn't mean they won't choose you second.
That's right. And down the road,
as long as you have a good relationship with them, they may say to themselves, "I should have went with that one," and change.
Right. And that's always possible in generally in everything we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to go. It's 11:28. Believe it or not. And you know, the funny thing is that, and I said this on the last show, is that, you know, we get to chat so much that we forget we're streaming live around the world.
Yes.
Everybody in the world can hear us and see us.
I love this, Renee. I got to tell you, the opportunity. I'm thrilled. I'm just.
Oh, me too.
I'm thrilled.
I love meeting people. And I'll tell you a little story. Judy used to bust my chops about this. Judy is on my board. She used to say to me all the time, she goes, Renee wants to do this. Renee, tell them what you want to do. I said, okay. My vision, because I have big dreams, is to have everybody I connected with and everybody that's been important with me in my life and do a concert at Yankee Stadium.
Why not? Listen,
because that's how many people I have touched in my life. Sure. So
anything is possible, Renee. I believe that.
Possible when you believe.
Infinite potential. Just the only thing that holds us back is our lack of belief in it.
Well, I don't have that, but I just
have it.
But things will happen in God's time when it's meant to happen. You just got to keep talking about it, dreaming, visualizing, And the truth is, I know that even if it doesn't happen in my life, I kept moving towards that.
Getting halfway there is not a bad thing either, Renee, right?
No. And then, you know, my children or someone in my foundation could then do it. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Just got to set the groundwork.
Absolutely. It goes out in multiple dimensions. You never know how it's going to come back to you, Renee.
Matt, before we go, share with them how they can contact you.
Sure. Everybody, it's on my, thank you for putting it on the marketing pieces. My cell phone is the best way. There's also, our website is a New York City based website. We're still working on the New Jersey website. But the best way, if they just want to get information from me, I'm a great connector as well, Renee, like Diane. But my company phone, my cell phone is the best way to get a hold of me. Talk, text, it'll come through 908-842-1521, or my email at Affirmed Home Care, matt.begyn@affirmedhomecare.com. And the website is did you put it? I think you did, Renee. Hold on.
Yeah, I think I have.
If they want to check out the company website, which is the New York based, but they should still call me if they have an interest level at some level for care in New Jersey. Where did you put my piece?
Even
Renee?
care in New York, because you can connect them.
What?
Even
Right.
care in New York, 'cause you can connect them.
If they look on the website, some of what is offered in New York is not completely the same as New Jersey. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same.
We
But
can start the conversations.
if they have any questions, the website is affirmedhomecare.com. So that could be very informative if they just want to look at a website.
Yep.
But if they have direct questions regarding New Jersey or New York, no strings attached, they call me or email me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just start a relationship.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Matt.
My
We're
pleasure,
connected
Renee.
now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I can't believe it's been an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. But Matt and I could just, that's what happened at Diane's party. We're like, the world is going on around us. We're like,
Yes. we could have slept over, Renee.
yeah.
Right?
Diane would have woke up and given us bagels. So thank you, Diane, for reconnecting us since we went
Yes.
together. We have a history. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Have a stroke of luck in your life today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Sunday is a really magical day for me. I just find that it just brings us back down to earth a little bit on a Sunday. And on 3, we always blow kisses. Matt, if you feel comfortable, 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody. See you later.
Thanks, Renee.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. Caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. Usted está en mi sueño por la noche. Por favor, no peleemos. Y es tan difícil para mí y para ti. Yo, ¿qué puedo hacer? No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, no me puedes escuchar. No me puedes escuchar llorar, llorar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón
wishing they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man with no idea of where I stand.